Two. There should be sound now. I got too many things to look after. But I do see in the YouTube it says the stream it says restore. It's 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 only showing the first
There
screen.
we go.
Is it going now? Okay.
Yeah, but I still don't have any
Yeah.
sound.
You should have sound according to what I'm seeing on the. Let's see what I'm seeing here. Desktop audio.
Yep, I got sound. I'm sorry. I had my
Okay.
speakers turned down.
Okay. I think the message to me is to simplify all of this in the future, but it is kind of fun to see if how all of this kind of fits together. Anyway, so let's begin our
Have
discussion.
have you switched Twitch to live yet?
Yes, I did. It,
Okay, because
it
I'm not getting a feed from it.
yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
What I just
But it is visible on your website, so yeah.
Well, thank you. That's interesting. So, for my poor little system here is really having a problem. The fan is going like crazy. There's so many things happening. I've got so many things open. Anyway, so let's begin our discussion. And I thought that I would ask what kinds of things have come up for you since the COVID-19 shutdown or the social distancing thing. I have to admit that I've noticed a number of things for myself, but I thought I would throw the question out and see what everybody else has to say. Anybody?
Um, I'll take it if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
The only thing my life hasn't really changed that much because I'm still doing showings. I go out and get groceries once a week. I take a break every hour, hour and a half, and the break is inside. I haven't been going outside, so that's that. My life has pretty much stayed the same. I probably should be out more, um, but there's an anxiety now, and it's just every time I go out, I'm anxious, and it's
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's not hard to deal with. I mean, I'm dealing with it, but it's just there. There's that extra bit of thinking about where I'm going to be and so forth and what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
um,
you're still showing properties.
yes, we are,
Mm-hmm.
but we no longer show properties that people are living in. We only show vacant properties. Um, and we made that decision, and that was just this week. And
Mm-hmm.
we wear gloves, we wear our mask, we do all of that stuff, and we encourage our people to do that. There's no handshaking. We stay 6 feet apart. We when we're showing the property. My wife is devastated because she can't give hugs anymore. She she loves to give hugs to everybody, and she's a big hugger, and um, so she's having a hard time dealing with that.
Right.
Um, but outside of that, it's kind of when life is normal here.
Mm.
But I know it's not normal for a lot of other people. My daughter has her kids home. They're homeschooling. They're she's working from home. Her husband works at UPS, and he needs to work at night.
Mm.
Um, but um, so their life has gone. They've had to do a lot of different things and come up with schedules for the kids and all that. Otherwise, if they don't get a routine, things just go haywire.
Yeah. Well,
So
I guess as I look around the room here, we're all beyond having to manage children. That's one positive thing.
grandchildren, maybe.
Well,
No,
from
not yet.
what I'm discovering from my friends here in Victoria, I mean the grandchildren are being kept away from the grandparents because they're nervous about what would happen. Yeah. Well, so life. I mean, part of the reason life is kind of still not changed a great deal for you, David, is probably because you do online work.
Correct. And I do it at home. I
Yeah.
don't go to an office.
Right.
I'm
Right.
basically at home right now,
Yeah.
and I was at home before. I mean, so and basically I do my portion of real estate at home.
Mm-hmm.
When I do searches and stuff like that, I don't go. I go into the office probably twice a week now.
Yeah.
For a couple hours now. I'm not going. At
Mm-hmm.
all, because I don't need to.
Right.
I only went in just to keep my office.
Right.
But it's
Right.
not really necessary. I can do everything I need to from home
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much prefer it. So
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I was just going to say, what about you, Vivek? I know you're still working.
yeah, I continue to work because I work at a grocery shop, and so everyone else is supposed to be staying at home and go to the grocery shop once a day at most. That's what the government says here. But what I have seen is initially there was a huge rush, and people started hoarding toilet rolls. I don't know what for, but they did. And there was a big, push for limiting how much each person can buy. Things like you can have only one loaf of bread per visit, one container of milk, and so on and so forth. 2 cans of baked beans or things like that. It went on. But recently it has been reduced. But other thing I noticed is the shop encourages people to use their cards, debit cards and credit cards, rather than cash. Earlier it used to be people, the shop where I work also has a cash machine inside. So people used to go to the cash machine, draw some money, and then come to the till to pay for the stuff that they are buying. Now it's no longer the case. People straight away come to the till and we encourage them to pay by card rather than cash, because cash means we have to, and people tend to give cash like that by hand.
Yeah.
And take the change back by hand like that. So
Don't touch. Yeah.
yeah.
David, you're waving.
yeah, one thing I've noticed is that we have a shortage of milk in the grocery stores, but the farmers are dumping milk because they can't get rid of it. So I don't know where the disconnect there is for that, and I see prices going up, so it's kind of strange, and I think we got some price gouging going on. To say we got a shortage of milk and we can't get it, but yet they're dumping it.
I guess it could be because the dairy processing industry, that maybe, I don't know, maybe under shutdown, or I don't know what. But
Well, what they're saying is going on is that the schools and the schools have shut down, and the restaurants have all shut down. So there's no
Yeah. No demand.
no demand, but yet we've got no milk. You're limited to one or two that you can take, and that went from 99 cents a gallon up to 250 a gallon.
Oh,
Wow.
So
we here there's no change in price. I haven't seen any change of price. Not at
Right.
least not to that extent. No,
yeah.
we
Okay,
haven't.
so
There's not
but
no change in
we're
price.
getting into away from our topic.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but what are you noticing for yourself and around you in terms of coping with isolation? Like, are you going out are you staying home other than when you go to work, and if so, what is that sort of
Yeah, I used to go out before, I mean, during the day if the weather was good. But all along, the weather has not been good. But last couple of weeks, the weather has been good, but still people are supposed to be staying at home. So I remain at home. Only
and so
time I
what
go out is to get to work.
And so, what impact does that have for you, staying home?
Um, Not much in terms of, at least I'm not seeing any effects so far, because I keep myself engaged, listening to audiobooks, watching educational videos on YouTube, and so on. So
Okay,
yeah.
right. So I saw Alana was waving.
Yeah, so I've noticed, I mean, before stayed in quite a bit anyway, but now I stay in even more. So, and the other thing here is when we go to the grocery store, there's usually a line outside. They only let a certain number of people in the store, and there's sanitizer on your way in and out, so you can sanitize your shopping cart and your hands and whatnot. But everyone's, for the most part, wearing scarves and masks. So if you're not doing that, you feel kind of weird. And some of this stuff is not available. And I was stopped from getting I think I put in 6 cans of tomatoes once, and I was only allowed to take 4.
Oh.
So there's a bit of a restriction there. So it's starting to feel a bit suppression, And then today I kind of found myself getting a little depressed after lunch. I was like, oh my God, what the heck? And it's a beautiful day here. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. It's like, because I was trying to get some stuff done around the house, and then having my husband and daughter here 24/7 is distracting. So I kind of hide in my office trying to get stuff done. And so, yeah, so I have noticed a few things like that. But yeah, and then it's annoying sometimes when you go shopping and you're looking for something, and either you're stopped from taking more than a certain amount, or it's not there at all. So
It's actually, I mean, the why the limits on how much each person can buy is because exactly of what you said.
Hoarding.
People have been hoarding things, and
Yeah.
whoever comes next won't find any of it. So
Yeah.
you take 6 cans instead of 4. If 10 people do the same thing, the 11th person won't find any of the cans. No cans for them at all. So
see, the thing for me is that if I'm making spaghetti sauce, the cans of tomatoes here are very small. They're very small. In the States, they're really big. They're like these big, massive cans. And I only need 2 of them. Here, I need 6 of them. So that's actually a normal shop for me.
yeah.
So getting 6 cans of tomatoes to make spaghetti sauce is actually normal. It's not hoarding.
Heidi, I recognize you, but David, was there something that you were wanting to tell me?
Yeah, Richard Clarkson made a comment. He said, I'm retired, so no work. I used to work from home, though, till the business was sold to a guy in Texas.
Right on. Welcome, Richard. I'm happy you're out there. So Heidi, what about you?
First, I wanted to make a comment. I think it's a little bit weird because if you can buy only 1 liter of milk and one thing so you are forced to go out every day to get another one, and so you are even mixing with people much more. So it doesn't make sense for the spatial distancing of people, in my opinion. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
My experience is that I cannot go anymore to supermarkets. I have to do the shopping in my little village here, where I still have to take a car to get there. And it's much more expensive. They don't have everything I would like to buy. But they have what they have everything and enough, but not the things I normally am using, not necessarily, so. And also the vegetable, I used to go to the farmers market every Friday, and my farmers, they are desperate because their things are growing and they don't know how to sell it, and I'm desperate because I don't have the fresh vegetables. I have some wild vegetable on my ground and I can pick that, chicoria and things like that, but altogether I'm fine. I'm, I can go out, go for a walk because I'm in the middle of nowhere, more or less. And my life hasn't changed a lot. I always was on the internet. Now I'm connecting maybe with more people. I'm creating groups, other groups in German and in English, so coming together, and that's, I find very important to talk about that, to how people feel, how they cope, and find it also very inspiring. That's also one of the reasons why I came to this one, because I'm inspired to listen how people, how the life of people is,
Yeah.
And I'm sort of happy, I must say, in my situation. When I have to go out, I go out max once a week. I'm not as tranquil as I was before. I always think, now I have to put on the gloves, and with these gloves that don't touch the car and things like that, and try to do these thoughts of how to avoid to bring home any virus, So that's the only thing which I don't really like a lot, but altogether, as my life is, I'm fine. As long as there's internet and electricity, I'm fine.
Right.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, just a moment. Just want to finish. I have done my shoppings long before because I have intuited that something would be going on very soon. And so I did the weeks before. Every time I went for shopping, I took a little more of things like sugar, like, these things. And now I find myself with the main things like pasta, rice and things. I could go on for months. The fresh things not, but all the rest. So I have intuited, obviously.
Right. I did the same, Heidi. I could sort of see it coming. And so I didn't hoard, but I just made sure I had everything stocked up. Yeah. So David, you had a comment?
Yeah, your farmers need to make a website that you can order online, and then they come and deliver it to you.
Yeah. We have that here. We have that here. Yep.
That it's too far away. They are about 15 or even more kilometers from here. And me buying 2 kilos of something, it's just not, it's not worthwhile. Yeah. They will do it around in the area where they are, but I'm I had to go quite a bit to the market, it's not right here. So, but the people begin, but Italians are not so good in organizing. I talked with a Swedish friend of mine, and she said, also before you could order things in the supermarkets, they brought it home. But I think Italians, maybe in 2 years, they will think about, maybe we could do something like that,
Wow.
but the neighborhood help, let's say, is good. When people have shouldn't go out, like my friend, because she has problems with the lungs, so she should not go out at all. So there is some friend who is doing the shopping. I did before when I still could go into her area, because we are confined in 200 meters around our house. Around only on the village we are confined, we cannot go over. So now I cannot go and do the shopping for her. But other people do, so that's great. And also, in the villages there is some help around people. Yeah, that's great.
So I was going to, when you talk about that and trying to help other people and acknowledging other people, what's happening here, and I know this is not the only place it's happening, but at 7 o'clock, everybody goes out on their balconies and bangs pots and pans, and that's a signal to the required workers, our thanks. So nurses, or, the healthcare people, the grocery store people, the delivery people, whatever. And it's amazing because there's an apartment building across the street from me. It's amazing the number of people that are coming out on their balconies at 7 o'clock and doing that. And of course, there's quite a bit of waving between people and so forth. So I thought that was it's quite charming, I think. Wow. So Nathan, what about you? What's going on in Mexico?
Oh, a whole bunch of crap. The president of Mexico gave a speech a few days ago, and he didn't address anything to do with helping the businesses. He didn't address anything to do with the coronavirus. He just talked about this usual crap that has been going on to do with his programs. Totally ignored everybody and everything. A lot of people are pretty upset about that. But outside of that, in terms of my own situation, I just happen to be living with my girlfriend in a gated community on a large golf course. So there's a thing of isolation. Well, we're isolated just by living here. And social distancing is easy. And in terms of my business, well, I lost a few clients, but they were all bricks and mortar type clients. And it's just made me even more determined to stay with working with people online, because that's what I like anyway. But outside of that, in terms of work, hardly anything has changed. I mean, I've been working online now for 20 odd years, more than that. And I've been working at home for a very long time. So it's like not much different.
So you're not feeling as though you're coping with quote isolation.
Well, we are and we're not. I mean, there are problems to do with the relationship. We're getting on each other's nerves and a lot of stress to do with that. And my girlfriend's son is home because the schools have been closed until April 20th. So he's doing all his education online, which is kind of wild. But the other major thing that's going on right now, I think I'm supposed to do a house sit in about 3 weeks. That's all in doubt. And one of the reasons why is that in Mexico right now, it's called Semana Santa, which is Holy Week. And when all the Mexicans go traveling and they have a tendency to overwhelm the beaches, well, the entire place where I want to go has been closed down to vacationers. Lots of police, lots of the town where I am to be going is essentially empty. Not much going on at all. And police on the beaches and everything to keep the tourists out, at least for this week. And then we'll see what happens afterwards. I'm hoping I'll be able to do the house sit, but right now it's all up in the air. It's just, it's just up in the air. There's a certain amount of traffic that I see every time we go out, but we don't go out all that often, and we're staying at home. But in terms of my work, it's not that much different.
Right.
The one thing I am doing is I get up every morning at 6 o'clock, make my coffee, sit, read a little bit, go out for a nice walk around the complex, which is stunningly beautiful. But we don't have to worry about running into police or anything else because it's a private gated community. So I'm really lucky to be living here during this time.
Right.
Yeah.
So your house sitting gig is
I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Uncertain, and I'm sure, Fred, that the same thing is happening to you, isn't it? I think maybe Fred is.
Did you talk to me?
Yes,
Sorry.
I did.
I didn't. Oh, okay. I just heard the same thing is happening to you, which is true.
Yes.
So I had some gigs lined up where people are going, funny enough, to Mexico. but they're not going to Mexico.
Not now.
No.
Not now. No.
So they don't need my services. So that's when I had to upend, which isn't bad because I'm used to moving around. I put everything in my car, including my rowing machine and my blender. Those are the two main things that my main meal is my blender meal, and my main exercise is my rowing machine. And I would move to somebody's place. Well, unfortunately, there's no somebody's place, and I have some friends that if I don't have a gig, I could stay with. But for example, the one couple are elderly and they are sort of compromised by health. There's no way I could even ask to stay there.
Right.
Because if something happened and I would say, well, maybe it was me who brought in the COVID-19, I'd feel so guilty. So I couldn't ask. So that's when my friend who I've known since teenager, and we go out on his boat regularly. The boat can't go out either. So it's sitting in the marina here. So that wasn't a big impact. And isolation as a challenge, my main social work contacts was Toastmasters meetings and youth groups. So I would have up to 6 meetings a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, a couple meetings on Friday, Saturday with some youth. Now all of that's closed down. But what we're doing, for example, last night was a meeting. I came to the laundry, unfortunately, because for some reason, the Wi-Fi stopped working on the boat yesterday, on the docks, and we had a meeting. I was the general evaluator, which means I give the feedback on the meeting, how things went, what we could have done better, which is what I call the secret sauce of Toastmasters. You have a meeting, but then you do get feedback, and people say, oh, this happened, and you could have done that better. And people are learning how to use Zoom. I have a meeting tonight as well, another Toastmasters meeting, but again, it'll be on Zoom. The children I work with, we have a Zoom meeting on Friday evenings, and Saturday morning, there's another children's meeting I can attend, which isn't one I ran, but it's a friend does, and they invite me. So all of my meetings now are Zoom meetings, rather than driving my car to meet the people face to face. So that's been a change. I'm using no gas because I'm sitting at home. So I don't need petrol or gas. So my life is same like most of us. We work from home. So all our work from home is still the same. It's only when we go out, which has changed really and dramatically. And that's where, as Heidi said, all of a sudden you're restricted, but you're happy in your own home because that's where we've been. We all are solopreneurs, so the isolation doesn't affect as much. But again, you're 6 foot away, and you even on the docks here, when you see other people. Some people live on their boats permanently here, apparently. But what I do miss is the internet, because if I can't, I haven't had internet, so now I have to lug my thing up the hill, up the dock, and try it. And I'm sitting in the laundry room, and people want to do their laundry from time to time.
Right.
So it's not the best. That's the challenge. But I know how much I rely on the internet. Wow, I really rely on the internet.
I have a suggestion for you.
Yes.
If you want to hear it.
Yes.
One of the things that you can do if you've got a smartphone that supports it is to upgrade your plan if you need to. Turn your phone into a modem. And I've done that several times with my phone when I've been stuck a few times, and it's worked really well. So that's an option for you.
Thanks for that. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Well, it's the best one I've got. Like years ago, I was stuck in Mexico. I was on a really slow connection. Then one day it died. I had to use my phone, which is actually 3 times faster than the landline, which was bizarre. But the only thing is I couldn't make calls on my phone. I had to go around the corner to a restaurant. It wasn't a terrible hardship, but it was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But still, the phones, like some of the smartphones, like iPhones and even some of the Androids, are actually really fast for an internet connection.
Yeah, they are.
And I've experienced that directly and highly recommend it if it's an option to you.
Yeah, the only challenge I have with that is the financial aspect.
Right.
Other than that, because here in Canada, our cell phone costs are probably the highest in the world.
Astronomical.
Yeah, compared to any other place in the world, Canada has the highest rates. We don't get very bargains. Now, I mean, it's an option. And it depends how much money I want to spend on it, but I would spend hundreds of dollars. The way I go, it would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Well, that really sucks. Well, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I find free Wi-Fi, including sitting in the laundry room. That's my best option.
Well, better than the alternative, which is nothing.
What I found out about Victoria here is that Shaw has opened up free Wi-Fi all over town. You don't have to have a Shaw account to use it now.
There's Shaw open around here, but every time I try it, it's asking me to log in.
Oh.
And set up an account. Where's your account? I don't know. I heard that. I heard that Shaw had done that.
Yeah.
Now
maybe it's just a free account. What's to lose by trying it, just to see what happens?
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you have a Shaw account? Do you have a Shaw account?
I do.
Yeah, see, I used to have one when I lived in the penthouse that I used to live in downtown Victoria. So that was fine. But now that I haven't had a Shaw account because I don't have TV and stuff like that. It doesn't seem to be, but I'll look. Maybe you're right, Nathan.
Check it out.
It's worth a try. You'd be really surprised as to the different things that are available. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of creativity and ingenuity, and just talking to people like here in this group and saying, "Hey, I've got this issue. Who can help me?"
But
like getting onto some of the bulletin boards or groups and saying, "Got this problem. Who can help?"
But maybe all they're doing is asking you to just sign in with your name, etc., etc.
That's exactly.
And I mean, they'll probably use that information to market to you later on. But in the meantime,
I'll check it out.
That's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah, it might be like that.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
And if it's like that, it'll be a blessing for you.
Yeah.
And I hope you get what you need.
Yeah.
It's just that I still might have to move around. In other words, the boat may not have Shaw open because Shaw open is where there's population. It's like high density.
Yes.
Where I am, there's no high density, so I'm not sure if there's Shaw open.
Right on.
But I used to go to the library, and even the libraries are closed down.
Yeah, of course they would be.
But you could park outside the library and you could still get their Wi-Fi. So I'm sitting in my car.
Right.
That's true. I've done stuff like that. Not recently, but I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So there are options, but again, it means I was on the boat very nicely. It'll probably come back. I spoke to the guys at the marina. And they have on the docks. They do have.
So maybe all they need to do is unplug the modem.
Yeah, I asked them yesterday, and they said, "Oh, we'll look into it. We're trying it, but it still hasn't as of today." That was yesterday, and today it's still not working. Yeah. But maybe today. But I just noticed how much I depend on Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah.
It's
Wi-Fi,
big time.
Without Wi-Fi, you're stuck.
Yeah. Me too. It's my lifeline. I mean, the other option is my phone, but I've discovered lately that my phone doesn't work too well for internet. My previous Android did, but this one, I don't know, something seems to be a bit off.
And then exercise was my rowing machine. And fortunately, the rowing machine just fits on the boat. Just fits between the refrigerator and the little table, and I squeeze it in, and so I'm rowing. So my exercise routine is still there, which is fortunate. Like other people who used to go to the gym or where it's some part of a group and they can't do any of that anymore. Well, fortunately, my exercise routine is still in valid with that machine.
So I was going to share with all of you what I'm noticing. I mean, I'm the same as all of you. I work at home and I'm on the internet all the time, etc. But what I'm noticing for me is because my social life has sort of diminished. I find I've been spending way too much time in front of the screens, and I've got to the point where I feel like I feel a need of escape from the screens. So even though socializing has happened using Zoom, my choir is getting together using Zoom, and girlfriends are getting together using Zoom, etc. But I but the other thing, I guess because I am a very social person, I find this isolation away from everybody really difficult. And I find myself, even when listening to things on the radio or watching, I find myself on the verge of tears. And that's disconcerting. And, I'm trying to do some meditation and reading and all of that. But I wanted to share with everybody a video I watched last evening, which I thought was really timely. I mean, I've been watching a number of things about working at home or working from home and the changes that's going to bring about in the work world and, all of those things. But I watched these two guys. I didn't know who they were. It was just a video. But the video was called Get a Hobby. And here were these two guys who obviously were sort of like us, all working online, and they were both saying the same thing. I'm so fed up with sitting in front of a screen and watching this and, that whole thing. And I guess I really identified with what they were saying. I've got to the point where everything on the radio, everything online, everything is about this virus thing. I'm so tired of that topic. I want to scream. So that's why I was really interested in hearing what these two guys were going to say. And so the first guy talked about his main hobby, which was making beer. And the other guy talked about his main hobby, which was creating a home. Now, what did he call it? A home bar. Creating a home cocktail bar. And he talked.
Geez, these guys would be welcome in Mexico because in different states and so on, they're prohibiting alcohol sales. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me, but so many things out there make no sense, and that's one of them.
Well, and so this guy talked about how he would go buy one of these great big vodka things and infuse the vodka using fruit. And he's been experimenting with making wonderful cocktails. And of course, he admitted that he and his wife had cocktail hour every evening before dinner. But then they got, so, I mean, you can't spend your life making alcohol. What else is there? And so they talked about cooking. Well, we have, and I found this absolutely fascinating because it was totally from a guy's perspective, right? So, their thought about creating a hobby was to do some cooking. So one guy was experimenting with making pizza, homemade pizza. The other guy was talking about dehydrating. He has a dehydration machine, and he was doing all of that. And so then what else? So I mean, just listening to these two guys. Oh yeah, one of them was he was launching into a Raspberry Pi projects with his kids. That's that little electronic system. So
I think I was talking about that a while ago.
Yeah. So I started writing down all the things that I could think of. I mean, I was very much aware that this was presented from a guy's perspective. So I thought, so if it was a couple of women, what would they be saying in terms of hobbies? So, and then I began to think to myself, well, because I feel this way about so much. I'm so sick of this online stuff. So I thought, well, this is a great time for me to dig out some old quilting projects that I've got stored away in some boxes. So I'm seriously thinking about that. This morning I did go for a walk with my walking friend, and we kept our distance, but we did the walk along the waterfront here. And she has done the same thing, gone to the basement, dug out all kinds of sewing boxes, and she has decided to start making face masks. So she's done all the research around design, etc., and found probably all the materials in her stash that is needed. So she has decided to do that. But then I started thinking about other things from a feminine perspective, knitting projects and crochet projects, jewelry making. One of the guys talked about making tablet cases. And carpentry and ceramics and growing herbs. That was the other thing. So I just kind of I thought I don't know how I don't remember how I found that video anymore, but it was timely. It was a timely one for me. And so as I'm saying what I'm saying about being sick and tired of all this stuff, I'm noticing that you're all nodding. So I think that you all relate. So yeah. So David, what you raised your hand.
I think it was me who raised my hand.
Well, I did too.
Okay, I didn't.
Mine's in the chat, not in the thing.
Right.
So, but you can be next, Fred, or you can take it now, and I'll just go after you. That's fine.
Go ahead, Fred.
Okay, I think you hit a very good point. Our normal routines, although we are mainly homebound, so a lot of it hasn't changed, but there's certain things that have changed. I've been in contact with a few people who've really been disrupted. Like, we have been disrupted, but not as much as others. And their routines are totally disrupted, and they are lost. And exactly what you said, all you hear is about the COVID-19. And that is not the best thing to listen to all day long, but you could if you wanted to, and you shouldn't. So the challenge is to find a new routine that works for you. And that's what we do. And as you said, it could be a hobby. I was actually this morning before this meeting speaking to a fellow in Toronto, and he's totally disrupted, but he has a motorhome and he's used to paint cars and so on. So he knows how to spray paint. He says, my motorhome needs it. This is a big project. I would never do it, but that's something he's going to do. So those sort of things. And then exercise routines can be a challenge for a lot of people who used to go to the gym. So I was speaking to another fellow. He's looking at online videos because he wants to. So I think the secret is our old routine has changed. What can we do to replace it? Maybe there's something. Maybe you want to learn. Maybe you wanted to learn to speak French properly. Now maybe there's a time to learn to speak French. Speak another language. That's a wonderful thing if you have the time now, because we are going to have the time for a few months at least. So it's really to find a new routine to replace it, and not sit and watch the news programs, which are just eventually take you down, and that's all you think about. And we don't need. There's a lot of other good things to think about. So find a new routine, I think, is find a hobby. That's mine. I think nail on the head with that.
One of the things that has come up on the radio here is how people are taking this time to clean out old closets and drawers. And so on the news there, the city is asking people, don't go. The lineups at the dump are so long they can't handle them. So now they're saying, please just put it in boxes and store it until all this ends. I thought that was kind of fun. Anyway, David, what were you going to say?
Well, one thing I've done is I limited myself to how much I watched the COVID-19 stuff. I watched the news first thing in the morning, and then in the evening when I'm done, either when I'm eating or when I'm done. Then I'll watch the nightly news, and that's all I watch. I don't get onto the radio station that's broadcasting 24/7 what's going on and all that. If I get on a radio station, it's sports, and they talk about it, but it's more, fun and stuff like that. And if I get on television for some reason, I'm watching a movie or something else. I'm not watching what's going on because it just gets too overwhelming. So, but I do want to know what's going on. I do, it's important to keep abreast of what's happening. So,
yeah, it's true. Yeah. Heidi, you have your hand.
Yeah, I wanted to say, for me, it's not the case that I'm sick of or tired of online. I noticed a different thing. Before, I thought I have to do this web page and the other page and blah, 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 blah. And I need to do this and I need to do this. And now I'm much more in talking with people. And this is really, I like it much better. And then I see doing the other stuff is more, how do you say, almost delightful, but a necessary consequence. It is what I'm doing is not anymore because I have planned to do it and now I do it, but now it makes sense to do it. More sense than before, and it's more. I feel more the need to do it, and so all the work around it on the computer is less tiresome, and I have less refusal, because often I said, oh God, I have to do this, on this page, I have to do that, and then that's and now it's much easier, because I feel that it might make better sense. I might serve some way people with doing that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Alana.
Just a moment still, and I wanted to say I did a change. I started again a vegetable garden, which I have left off about 3 or 4 years ago when we had, but we have little rain. So in summer it will be again a problem. So, but I go there every day and do something. So.
Right on. Alana.
Well, I think that this is going to be a longer period of time for us than we think. I don't think it's a matter of a couple of weeks. I think it's going to be more like a couple of months. And I think a lot of us are going to have to adapt to a whole new lifestyle, depending on what our lifestyle was before. And, I think the whole thing about shaking hands and hugging strangers is going to, you're going to second guess that from now on. But, for us, we are getting a lot of stuff done. My husband has, since he's home, he's been doing a lot of stuff around the house. He's repainting outside right now, and he's going to do the back deck. He's already done the bathroom. So, but the thing is, there's no hardware stores open here. They all closed. And then you used to be able to order online, but you can't because they won't come out. But having said that, on the flip side of that, the elderly are being very well looked after here, because what they have started is this thing called request a check-in. So if you know someone who, like if your mother or your grandparents are living far away from you within the country and they can't get out, you can request at the post office for the mailman to check on them. So I think that's really good, because they're very isolated, so some of those things I think, will be a good thing,
Yeah, there are a few programs. The art gallery here has put out a call to students who would be willing to phone senior shut-ins on a regular basis. Yeah, I find that some of us in the building I'm living in, like I may have mentioned this before. My next door neighbor is 100 years old, And so I check in with her not every single day, but and I know I'm not the only one that is doing that. There's several others, and if any of us are going, if I'm going to the grocery store, I check to see whether there's anything she needs, etc. So yeah, so I mean those are the good things that may come about, but
I completely agree about the news, though. I mean, today I have not listened to any U.S. news today because I just feel like I'm on overload with it all, and I just need to just decompress from it. And I think hearing it every day is another source of anxiety and depression. So I'm trying to limit that as well.
yeah. So
In terms of, I mean, I just want to add, in terms of exercise, if you have not been doing any exercises in a gym, probably this is the right time for you to start doing yoga. You don't need any equipment. Your body is the equipment, and all you need is a bit of space, which you should have within your house. So no need to go anywhere else. Start doing yoga.
well, and there are some really good. Pardon me. There's some really good videos and things of instruction for yoga and Tai Chi. I found a really nice one that is about Tai Chi as well. But I still, I mean, because my friend and I have been walking 3-4 times a week, we're still doing that. I mean, we always said we're going regardless of the weather, regardless, and so we're still doing that. So I see your note there, Heidi, and I'm looking at the clock, and we certainly have gone over, but I felt it was worthwhile for us to kind of talk this through. So does anyone want to chime in just before we are going to close the meeting right now?
I do see a lot of articles about Zoom being not secure, etc., but I would say they are more driven by the competing companies who want a greater market share. So,
Right.
if you are using Zoom, please continue.
Yes. And I mean, maybe we thought maybe we might talk about that this morning, but we've run out of time. So maybe we can visit that next time. Next time we will talk about working from home, and not so much from our perspective, but what sort of impact that is going to have in the way that other companies and other organizations are approaching things. And it's been some of the research I've been following is quite interesting. So now I have to make sure I close everything down.
Before you close,
Yeah.
do you have the YouTube link for the YouTube you were talking about, the video you were talking about?
The one about
Yeah.
get a hobby. I don't, but
Okay.
I will look. I'll see if I can find it.
And
I
put it
did
in the
put-
show notes.
I did post a link about creating your own mask, DIY mask.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, I see. We have. Yeah. Okay. So, and I see that whenever I open the chat on the side, it shows up on the in the in the
OBS.
yeah. So thank you all for coming and sharing what's going on with you. I certainly appreciate that. So I'm going to now hit Alt 4, which is going